How's going, guys? Welcome to the channel. I'm back with another banger for you all. Huge shout out to Ryu Kotei for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Izumo and Kotetsu were sitting at the gates as the day rolled on by. These past 3 years have been something, Izumo? Asked Kotetsu as he was wishing he was somewhere else, or just something to happen. I wouldn't say that, Kotetsu, said Izumo as he peeked through the gates before returning to his newspaper. Tsunade was named Godame Hokage a few months after Naruto had left, as Minato said something about atoning for his sins. Then there was the appearance of that cult dedicated to some sort of tree and its war against the Akatsuki just a year after that. Isn't that war between them still going? Asked Izumo as he remembered hearing about the two groups clashing. What was that cult called again? Order of the Nazama? Izumo turned the page and said, Order of the Namaki, just some crazy cult that worships some kind of god tree. Kotetsu blinked and chuckled a bit as he remembered something. What about that bandit attack just a year and a half ago? Said the Chunin with a perverted smile, when she appeared, he. Izumo rolled his eyes while giggling to himself inside his mind at who his best friend was talking about. Of course I remember that day, said Izumo as he set the newspaper to the side. Who wouldn't forget the day that Hentai Harem returned as she just appeared in nothing but her underwear and a small mask and turned all of those bandits to stone. I just don't know who to feel sorry for, the bandits, or that girl's parents. Kotetsu had to agree with that, as the bandits were turned to stone as the half-naked girl attacked them, or the girl's parents, because that is their daughter running around in just her underwear, and a small mask that covered the eyes. I don't know about you, said Kotetsu as he leaned back to stare at the ceiling of their station. Hentai Harem is one of the most wanted women in Hai no Kuni, right next to Kushina, although I think most of those would be marriage proposals or indecent exposure charges instead of just being a thorn in a village's side. As the two continued chatting, there was a faint sound of music in the air. You hear that? Asked Izumo as he and Kotetsu looked to see a familiar figure. Is that Jiraiya? It was indeed Jiraiya, as he was supposed to be returning from a 3-year trip training Naruto, aka Straw Hat. But where was the Straw Hat wearing team? Yo-ho-ho-ho! 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 The two Chunin then looked up to see Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze skipping in the air while playing a violin and singing. What the hell? Said both Izumo and Kotetsu stared in shock at what they were seeing. Naruto was wearing dark pants, black boots that had some of the pants tucked inside, a purple vest over a plain white t-shirt, green goggles around his neck, a black jacket draped on his shoulders in a bancho style, and his signature straw hat as he continued skipping in the sky as he sang, Binkasa no Sakewa, Tadoken Ayukuyo, Yumikase Kimikase Namimikase, Shio no Emo Kwida, Yuhi Emo Sawagu, Sora Naya wa Wakaku, Torai no Yuta. Many of the villagers heard the song and looked up to see Naruto and smiled as their hero had returned from his trip. The Straw Hat fan club marched along underneath as the girls swooned over the team, while the children skipped along and sang with Naruto. Many of the ninjas smiled as the bright tune had lifted their spirits, while their hero continued to impress them. Sayonara Minato, Tsumuji no Sato yo. Dan to Ichi Yudo, Funade no Yuda. Kimpajimpa emo Shibuki and Aikit. Orita Kayukuzo, Umi no Kajiri. Jinbe was walking by, carrying groceries, when he heard singing and looked up to see Naruto skipping on thin air. He's back, Jinbe thought as he stroked his new goatee with his free hand. I should let the others know, especially Sakura-chan and his wives. Naruto continued to play as he saw the Hokage building getting closer and thought, I wonder how much has changed since I left for my training? Yo ho ho ho, yo ho ho ho. 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 Naruto dove through the window into the Hokage's office and rolled in front of the desk to face the Hokage. Greetings, Lord Tsunade, said Naruto as he was shocked to see Tsunade sitting at his stepfather's desk. What are you doing here? Standing in for my stepfather? Tsunade chuckled and said, It's nice to see you again too, Naruto, and to answer both of those questions, I'm the new Godame Hokage, your father decided that after everything that had happened to step down and named me the new Hokage. Naruto was surprised that his father would do something like that, but he didn't think for long when he was tackled from behind by Hinata and Haku. Welcome home, Naruto-kun, said both girls before they began to smother the blonde with kisses and hugs. Perverted giggling was heard from outside as Tsunade looked to see Jiraiya writing in a small notebook. You know that Minato and Kushina will kill you if Naruto and his wives don't, said Tsunade as she dragged the man in, or are going to play hide and seek with your friend? Jiraiya paled at the hidden message and quickly said, I'll make sure all of the characters in my stories are completely unrelated to our godson and his wives. Just please don't do that again. The doors soon opened to reveal Minato and Kushina after Naruto was set free from his wives. How are you doing, Naruto-kun? Asked Kushina with a smile on her face, happy to see her son after 3 years. Did you enjoy your trip? Naruto nodded before he turned to Minato and asked, Why did you step down, Minato-san? The man chuckled and said, Well, after what all had happened 3 years ago, I decided to do some soul-searching to try and find some answers of why things had gone the way they had. I discovered that I had been acting more as a leader than the proper father I should have been, and be there for both children instead of playing favorites because of certain situations. Kushina smiled and said, In fact, we have a surprise for you. Okay, Sakura, you can come in. Naruto turned to face the door, and his eyes widened at the surprise that was before him. Sakura Haruno was on her feet wearing a nurse's uniform and a small boy with red-orange hair wearing a tan shirt with the Uzumaki swirl on the back and blue shorts. Hello, Naruto-kun, said Sakura as she lightly giggled at the blonde's stunned look on his face. Sakura? Naruto asked with shock and awe at the rosette before him. How are you walking? A chuckle from Tsunade caught the young blonde's attention as the woman then said, After doing some studying and experimenting, I was able to find a way to help some of the more physically disabled regain some mobility. Sakura chuckled as Naruto was still awestruck as she said, I thought you were over that crush on me, or were you looking at Kachu, your baby brother? The small boy next to Sakura looked up to see his older brother, and smiled as he walked towards his brother. Naruto snapped himself out of his stupor before he kneeled to Kachu's level as the small boy wrapped him in a hug, sending a smile towards his brother. Hi Nissan, said Kachu as he looked at his brother. Mom and Dad told me how super cool you are with all those superpowers. Can I see 'em, huh? Can I? Naruto, he smirked as he changed into a large golden fox before everyone with Kachu smiling brightly. So cool, said the small boy as he wrapped his arms around Naruto's neck. I have a super cool Nissan. Can you do more? Naruto chuckled as he said, Well, I did tell everyone that I wanted to fight them all again when I came back. You can watch once everyone is ready. I just need to find everyone and let them know I'm back. I have already informed them of your return, Straw Hat-san, said Jinbe as he walked in. They are waiting for you at the arena. I will go ahead and join them so that our fight can begin. Jinbe bowed and left with Sakura joining him with a slight limp in her step. So much has changed, said Naruto as he looked at Tsunade, but I would like to talk about the changes later as I have a reunion to go to. Naruto lowered himself and motioned Kachu to jump on his back, much to the smaller boy's delight, and left with the small boy cheerfully cheering how he has the best big brother anyone could ask for. The adults soon followed as they were a bit excited and curious at Naruto's growth. Near Sunagakure, 2 figures were sitting next to a large rock. One was a tan man with brown hair slicked back and a dark red windblown mohawk down the middle wearing a tannish gray shirt, a brown vest, and tan cargo shorts, while the other was a woman with long blue hair and a giant braid wearing a black vest open to reveal white wraps around her chest, skinny black pants, and black high heels. I hate the desert, said the woman as the sand made her remove her heels. How is a fashionable woman such as myself supposed to travel? You're asking me, I say? Said the man as he picked his toes. You knew that the boss sent us out to Sunagakure, the village hidden in the sand, to obtain the Ichibi before those Akatsuki bastards. The woman scornfully looked at the man and said, I know, Suijin, but I can at least be fashionable while we're out here. The man crossed his arm and mumbled, No good flat-chested chick and her damnable fashion sense. Issei knocked Suijin on top of his head before she pulled out a pair of binoculars and looked through them. Damn it, said Issei as she saw two figures in black cloaks that had red clouds on them. Bastards are already here, no thanks to you, dumbass. Suijin gave the brunette a sharp look and said, How was that my fault? You were the one who wore those dumb heels in the desert, so you're the dumbass. Issei quickly kicked the man between the legs without taking her attention away and said, It appears they are biding their time for the moment. I suggest we wait to see what they do. Why wait when I can just rush in, find the Ichibi's Jinchuriki, and save him from those two? Asked Suijin as he held himself. I'm the fastest man alive next to the wreckage, so the whole thing will be a piece of cake. The woman set down her binoculars and said, We cannot just barge in when two S-class criminals are right there together, and possibly an entire army of Suna ninja, even with our powers. We are waiting, Birdbrain, and that's that. Suijin shrugged and laid down in the rock's shadow as he said, All right, just wake me up when something happens, bug bitch. Issei took her foot and gave the man a powerful axe kick to his jewels before returning to her reconnaissance. In Konohagakure, everyone had gathered with the Konoha 9, Jinbe, and Tsunade in the arena as everyone else were waiting in the stands. Everyone ready? Asked Tsunade as she received nods from everyone. This match will end when one person is left standing and there will be no killing from the combatants. Everyone got into their battle stances as the Godame raised her hand in the air. Ready, said Tsunade, and Naruto, in his human form, smirked at the nostalgia as the woman soon threw her hand to the ground. Hajime. Naruto looked to see Kiba, wearing a leather jacket and black pants, and Akamaru, in his human form wearing dark blue cargo shorts, charged towards him with Lee, wearing a Chunin vest over his normal green jumpsuit, following. Kiba and Lee had grown slightly while Akamaru was almost twice the size of Minato with visible muscles. Leaf Whirlwind, said Lee as he went in for a sweep, only for Naruto to jump over him and swung a leg towards Kiba. The Inuzuka blocked it as he changed into a large wolf while Akamaru changed into a very large version of his past form, and the two went in for two powerful bites. Twin Cerberus bite, said both Kiba and Akamaru as they tried to clamp onto Naruto, only for the blonde to gain further air through his skywalk. How about a little appetizer? Asked Naruto as he landed behind the trio and dashed towards Lee. Potato masher barrage. The blonde began to spin in the air while dealing multiple kicks on Lee's arms until the taijutsu expert lost his guard. Naruto ended the attack with one foot still on Lee's chest before flipping backwards. Double salad toss, said Naruto as he connected two kicks to Lee's jaw, tossing the teen into the air. Kiba and Akamaru used the moment to attack in their man-beast form and human form respectively. Double Cerberus swipe, said the two of them as they swung their clawed hands, only to miss as Naruto performed another backflip after jumping. Naruto landed on his hand before launching himself towards Kiba and Akamaru, and kicked the two of them in their backs. Initi mana kick, said Naruto as he flipped himself back onto his feet, but was soon hit by a burst of air. Naruto bounced once before getting to his feet to see Neji, wearing the traditional Hyuga clan shirt and pants with a brown apron wrapped around his waist, Tenten, wearing tradition Chinese garbs, and Jinbe standing before him. I guess you're more than ready for a rematch against me, huh Neji? Asked Naruto as Neji chuckled. Of course, the Hyuga said as Tenten rushed towards Naruto with a kick. Naruto easily dodged the kick, but he felt his cheek get cut to his surprise. How did she cut me with her foot? Naruto thought as he jumped back to see that Tenten's foot was now a small sword. Surprised? Asked Tenten with a smirk. I discovered this devil fruit during one of my team's mission and I ate it in desperation. This is the power of the Buki no Mi, the arm's fruit. Tenten's sword leg then became chains as she twisted around to attack Naruto. The blonde ducked before having to use his haki to avoid Neji's sudden barrage of attacks with Jinbe following him. These three have gotten stronger, Naruto thought as he brought out his three swords to begin his counterattack. I can feel it. Double chain dance, said Tenten as she turned both legs into chains and used her hands to spin her body around. Santoryu, said Naruto as he jumped into the air with his body twisted, blade vortex. The blonde swung the 3 swords and created a large shockwave with slashes flying around inside. The blades from the shockwave had destroyed Tenten's chain legs while Niji used the rotation technique, with Jinbe kneeling behind him to avoid the attack. "Your good straw hat," said Tenten as the pieces of chain melded into her body to reform her legs, "but we can do better." The weapon girl then got to her feet as her right hand became a sickle, while her left forearm and hand became chains with a weight at the end. "Let's dance," said Tenten as her right forearm became a chain attached to her sickle hand before she swung both weaponized arms wildly and skillfully. Kusarigama madness. Naruto gracefully dodged each attack while deflecting some of the chain away with his swords until Niji jumped him from behind. "You're within my divination," the Hyuga said with a smirk. 8 trigrams, 2 palms. Snap! Snap! Niji was surprised that his attack was stopped when 2 golden tails grabbed his wrists. Everyone looked to see a much taller and slender Naruto with his face completely covered with golden fur, and his hands were clawed. "I don't recall seeing this form," said Niji as he tried to wrestle out of the tails. "My chef-style taijutsu and kenjutsu were not the only abilities I trained in," said Naruto through the mass of fur covering his hidden face. "I have trained in all of my abilities in my travels as Jiraiya, and I have traveled the many lands. It was at the land of demons where I got the inspiration for my slender form, as legends speak of a faceless man that would appear and kill lone travelers during the blackest of nights." Naruto pulled Niji towards him and gave the Hyuga a sharp punch to the gut before tossing him to the side. Jinbe jumped from behind and landed a kick to Naruto's side, causing the teen to hold his injury as he slid back. Tenten then jumped into the sky with her arms returning to normal, while her left foot turned into an axe as she then slammed it into the ground towards Naruto. The fox hybrid jumped back to avoid the attack as he changed into his Tao form and held a palm out towards the weapon girl. "Fox style," said the teen as the kanji for thunder appeared in his palm. "Fox thunder burst jutsu." A loud boom was heard as Tenten flew violently towards Niji, knocking the both of them out as they collided. Hinata soon arrived with her hair longer, and wearing a light purple jacket and blue shinobi pants. "I hope you're ready, Naruto-kun," said Hinata as she got into her stance. "Haku-chan and I have been training to keep up with you as best as we can and of making sure we give you the best treatment upon your return." Naruto's face turned completely red at the implication as he then asked, Where is Haku-chan?" Hinata giggled at the slight nosebleed on her beloved's face as she seductively said, "She's just getting some things ready for your return, for a night all about the man of our lives." Hinata quickly charged in and struck a few times on Naruto's arms while the blonde was distracted. The blonde snapped out of his fantasy as he then said, "That's pretty clever to distract me with that, and disable the chakra in my arms. But I have another trick up my sleeves, or should I say tail." A tail soon appears and began moving in an odd fashion, as if it was riding in the air. Following the tail's movement, the kanji for chakra appeared in golden writing. "Fox style, fox chains jutsu," said Naruto as Hinata was soon bound by golden chains that were wrapped around her after the writing in the air vanished. "The many chakra exercises I have gone through have allowed me to use my tail as a calligraphy brush," said Naruto as the tip of his foxtail was glowing from the chakra present. "So even if I lost both of my arms, I can still use my Tao form's power by writing in the air, using more chakra and energy to focus my writing along with using chakra the ink." That was when Lee, Kiba and Akamaru, and Jinbe went for a surprise attack as they piled on top of Naruto with Shino, in his full Kakeichu form to absorb Naruto's chakra, and Choji, wearing red clothing under the Akimichi clan armor, joining them. The group was holding the blonde down until they were launched away as they saw what was before them was Naruto in a new form. Naruto was now as huge as Akamaru with his hair in a buzz-cut style, armor covering all but his face and torso, and he was wearing red and orange swimming trunks. "What do you guys think about my new armored me form?" the blonde asked as he smirked under his shades. "It took me and Frankie some time to get this form down, but as awesome as we are, we got it down. So cool!" cried Kachu as stars were in his eyes at the sight of his older brother. "Ni-san is so awesome." Naruto held his smirk as he then saw Kiba, Akamaru, and Shino charge towards him. "Now let's see how you handle this," Naruto said as his stomach started to expand, cyborg style. Exhaust bomb. The trio charging towards him couldn't stop as an explosion of clouds launched Naruto into the air while they ended up going right into the clouds. Cough cough asterisk what? Said Shino as he covered his mouth and nose. What is this? The Aburame looked to find Kiba and Akamaru using their hand to cover their faces while thrashing around. My nose, said Akamaru as he fell to a knee. Dear Kami, this is much worse than perfume. Laughter was heard from the stands as Kachu said, ha ha ha. Nissan farted. Ha ha ha. The foul odor soon filled the arena with everyone holding their noses and coughing from the stench alone while Kiba and Akamaru had passed out due to their sensitive noses. Only Naruto could somehow use a fart as a jutsu, Shikamaru thought as he couldn't help but wonder what the blonde had eaten. Right cross, said Naruto as his right hand flew towards Choji and slammed him into a wall before reattaching itself to Naruto through the aid of a chain. Tenten had turned her hands into small battle fans and waved the stench away as she said, that actually smelled worse than Lee and Guy after an entire training session without a single shower. The girl was able to see an attack coming towards her and performed a quick substitution. Naruto then got into a stance before being launched high into the air by another powerful fart until he was a good distance away from the arena, which held large clouds of gas. The blonde took in a huge breath, making his chest expand as he then said, cyborg style, exhaust. Bandit attack. Naruto, Kakashi, Shikamaru, and Lee approached the gates and saw a group of bandits charge towards the gates. This shouldn't be a problem, said Naruto as he wasn't in his armored me form and pulled out a violin, song style. Aho-ho-ho! Was heard from the trees as out of nowhere, preventing Naruto from performing the song as a girl with long neon white hair wearing a mask that covered her eyes and wearing nothing but a satin red bra with black laces and matching panties that tightly hugged her waist appeared between the group. It appears that I need to entertain these unruly boys. Naruto watched as the girl charged towards the bandits, and was about to rush in when he saw one of the attackers turn to stone after the girl kicked him. No way, said Kakashi with his visible eye wide at the sight. It's Hentai Harem. Who? Asked Naruto as the girl slapped a few bandits, turning their faces into stone. Hentai Harem is a legend in Konoha, Naruto, said Kakashi with giddy excitement. Despite wearing only a mask and her underwear, Hentai Harem is a force to be reckoned with as she turns all who see her to stone. Sounds like the Mero Mero no Mi, Naruto thought as he remembered Luffy telling him about Boa Hancock, a woman who possessed a similar power. Hentai, said Hentai Harem as a pink heart formed after she kissed her fingers. Kissy kiss. The girl blew the heart towards a few bandits before the heart blew up and turned the bandits completely into stone with hearts in their eyes. Hentai Harem then tightly hugged one of the bandits, squishing her breasts against the thug, and said, Hentai hug. The bandit immediately froze into stone before the girl then turned to the three bandits behind her. I ain't afraid of no half-naked girl, said the bandit in the middle before his face met satin red as Hentai Harem pressed her butt against the bandit's face. Hentai tap, the girl said as the bandit turned to stone while she playfully slapped the other two on their rears, turning them to stone as well. The fight continued as Hentai Harem kept turning the bandits to stone with many suggestive attacks before one of them had managed to cut her face. Oh, said Kakashi as he slightly paled. What is it, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked before he saw Hentai Harem reach a hand to the bleeding wound on her cheek. You cut my face? Said the girl as her hair turned into an obsidian black while an angered look was now on her face and her underwear was now looking like leather and latex. You cut my face. The girls roared, startled both the bandits and Naruto as an enraged Hentai Harem rushed towards them with a threatening look in her eyes. That, Naruto, is Hentai Harem's Sundara mode, Kakashi explained as frightened bandits received backhanded slaps, gut-crunching punches, and the occasional kick to the groin from the girl, each bandit's turning to stone from the contact. When Hentai Harem becomes deeply enraged, her playful and innocent-looking personality switches to a personality that is just as sadistic as Anko on a bad day. Naruto paled at the idea as he remembered how bad Anko was on one of her unlucky days, and that memory sent a chill down his spine. Hentai Harem then saw one lone bandit, the leader, as she began to crack her knuckles and said, you're the last of the fucking bastards. The bandit leader smirked as he said, if you think I'm afraid of some grouchy skank, then you thought wrong. I know I'm going to have fun with you. Drawing a steel blade, the bandit attacked but was stopped after Hentai Haim destroyed the sword with a backhanded swing of her fist that not only turned steel into stone, but broke the blade. The girl then grabbed the man's jewels tightly, causing the brave bandit to yelp while feeling his friend turn to stone. Never. Piss. Me. Off. Said Hentai Haim as her grip kept getting tighter and tighter. Fucker. Sunder a heartbreaker. The sound of stone being crushed into dust was heard before silence echoed through the forest until Yo-yo-wa-ah. The bandit leader cried until Hentai Haim sharply kicked the side of his face, turning the frothing man into stone. The girl returned to normal and saw the Konoha ninja watching with shock while protecting the most precious valuables known to all men. Hiya, Hentai Haim said cheerfully as she approached the group and gave them a cheerful smile. It's nice to meet you guys again. The girl observed the group until she saw Naruto and said, You must be Naruto, or Straw Hat Ninja to others as I've heard so much about you. Naruto nervously chuckled as he saw the girl reach out a hand to shake and respectfully back down. Seeing the still bleeding wound, Naruto held a hand to Hentai Haim's face and said, Let me take care of your wound. The girl felt the cut close before giving the blonde a smile and said, Thanks, Straw Hat-kun. Bye. Before could respond, Hentai Haim quickly skipped into the bushes and vanished as Naruto looked to find not a single trace of her. Naruto, said a voice as said blonde turned to see Tsunade, Guy and his students, and a familiar face standing next to her. Temari? Naruto asked the Suna Kunoichi, What are you doing here? Temari looked at Naruto and said, I'm here as an ambassador from Sunagakure, and I was actually thinking about heading back when I heard about the bandit attack. Looking around, Tsunade shook her head and said, I take it Hentai Haim was here. I'll get ANBU to clean this up and take them to the hospital as I'm sure Hentai Haim will turn them back to normal without anyone noticing as her powers can also reverse this effect. Anyway, Tsunade said as members of ANBU began to carry the mini statues away, I have a mission for Team 7 and Team Guy. You are to escort the ambassador of Sunagakure back to her home. Naruto blinked for a moment before he said, What Team 7? It's only me and Kakashi-sensei. Tsunade chuckled as she said, I'm glad you noticed that as I'm adding 2 members to the team. You 2 can come out. At that moment, 2 young teens appeared next to Tsunade via Shushin. One was a young boy with pale skin and short black hair as he had this odd and creepy aura about him. The other was a young girl with lightly tanned skin and oak brown hair wearing a light blue nightgown with cloud designs, a matching nightcap, and baby blue slippers, and she had a bubble coming from her nose as a small snore from the girl showed that she was asleep. I would like to introduce you to Team 7's newest members, said Tsunade as she placed a hand on the 2 teens. The young boy is Sai and the young girl is Nimya. The girl continued to snore before she said, Zzz, Hio, Zzz, I Nimya-chan, Zzz. A light shake from Tsunade caused the bubble to pop, lightly waking Nimue from her slumber to reveal silver-gray eyes that were even more sleepier than Inaro's eyes. Huh? Nimue said as she rubbed her eyes, How did I get here? Why am I in uniform? Time for a mission? Yes indeed, bedwetter, Sai said bluntly with a small smile on his face. We are here to help Dickless escort the Suna ambassador back home. All was silent until everyone saw Naruto angrily erupted into flames. What did you call me? The blonde asked darkly before he began to chase the pale-skinned teen with the rest of Team 7, Temari, and Team Guy following while Tsunade mentally groaned. Naruto is really going to have his hands full with his new teammates, she thought as the Hokage felt a headache coming on. Hopefully Naruto won't kill either one of them. Inside a dark building, Yuzum traveled through the halls as she was meeting the leader behind the Order of the Namaki. She was wearing dark blue pants, leather shoes with a steel plate over the toes, an ivory shirt, and a blood-red cape with black flames on the trimmings. It has been 3 years since she escaped the village with the aid of the Order, and she's been training on her powers while the sealing expert was working on unsealing her chakra, and so far, only 3 of those blasted seals were removed as apparently each lock on her was a separate seal that's more difficult than the last. Kicking the door open, Yuzum saw a figure that was shadowed by not only darkness, but a straw blind, while a man with slicked back white hair wearing a purple suit and holding a slim, black cane stood nearby. Yuzum, said the shadowed figure with a stoic tone, that is the 8th door this month that you have busted. Is something on your mind? With an audible growl, Yuzum said, yes, something's on my mind. It's been 3 damned years and I still can't get even a splinter's worth of chakra. Your seal master seemed to be fucking up his end of the deal. Zuzuzu, the man in purple chuckled lightly, impatient as ever, Yuzum-chan. A lady such as yourself doesn't need to resort to such a violent behavior. The man lightly tossed his cane in front of him before catching it as he continued, while I am one of the most well-known seal masters, these seals are quite intricate as their designs are not only overlapping, but are intersecting with other seals to where even seal experts couldn't tell which seal begins and which seal ends where. Of course, since you are the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi's chakra, I must also take extra precaution and care as to not make even the slightest error of judgment, or a slight twitch of the hand could cause irreversible damage or death. We simply cannot have that now, can we? The man thoughtfully brought a hand to his chin in slight admiration as he said, these seal are far too intricate and difficult for any genin or chunin to even dare try to attempt. But then again, the one behind these seals was none other than the famous Straw Hat Ninja. Enough, said the shadowed figure as he could sense Yuzum killing intent. Fuin, you are to work on the next seal that is located on Yuzum's body so that we can further aid her training. I have Issei and Suijin at Sunagekure to convince the Kazakage to seek shelter here at our base while the trio are off to try and bring the Gobi here. The man in the purple suit blinked as he asked, you're seriously sending the Oz trio to retrieve the Gobi while Issei and Suijin are at Suna where 2 members of the Akatsuki are? Shouldn't it have been the other way? The figure blinked as he said, no. Issei's and Suijin's powers would give them an advantage in the desert, while the trio go and convince Han, Jinchuriki of the Gobi, to seek shelter here. Now, get to work. Fuin bowed as he said, of course. After Fuin and Yuzum left, a sound of a door opening echoed as a circle of light appeared in thin air with a cloaked figure opening the circle from inside. I bring news to you, said the figure. Straw Hat has returned to Kanahagakure and is escorting Sunagekure's ambassador back to Suna. Send troops, no? The shadowed figure shook his head and said, let Straw Hat meet our 2 agents as this will test his skills against not only us, but the Akatsuki as well. Even though he does not carry the Kyuubi's soul, Straw Hat will only become more trouble. In the meantime, go back to your world and report anything of importance. The cloaked figure nodded and closed the circle before the light vanished. Soon, said the shadowed figure as his eyes narrowed, I will bring forth a new shinobi era with me as its founder once I obtain the only known god fruit known in existence. I shall rewrite the world into the perfect world. In Sunagekure, Gaara was sitting in his office as he was working on the Kage's mortal enemy, paperwork, while Sunaheim was nearby playing with dolls and a few small puppets Kankuro had given to her on her past birthdays. Despite her physical looks, the Ichibi was mentally a child around 11 to 12 years old due to her being possessed by an evil priest. So much has changed, Gaara thought as he looked over to see Sunaheim playing with her toys and smiled, and I owe it all to Naruto as his actions have helped us with our recovery. Sunaheim then looked out one of the windows to see something in the sky. The girl walked towards the window and asked, Hey Gaara and I, what's that birdie? The Kazakage looked out to see a snow-white bird flying around in the sky and after looking closer, Gaara saw something, or someone riding the bird's back. That, said Gaara as he narrowed his eyes, is trouble. Sunaheim saw the look on her Jinchuriki's face and nodded before melding back into Gaara's sand armor as the Kazakage casually walked out of the office. Night had arrived as Deidara formed a hand seal, setting off a few explosions in hopes of drawing out the target. The only sound the Akatsuki member heard were muffled thumps as Gaara soon floated into the sky with his sand. You don't know how many times Temari and I had told Sunaheim to pick up her toys after she's done playing with them, said Gaara with his husky, monotonous voice as he stared down Deidara. So as an adult, I expected you to do the same. What would a Jinchuriki know about real art? Deidara scoffed before tossing out a handful of small spiders made of clay. Eat this. The spiders then grew to a large size before exploding, only to be stopped by a shield created from the sand. Desert sand, said Gaara as needles made of sand were launched from the small protective wall, Saban Storm Barrage. Deidara had the clay bird dive to avoid the attack and swoop behind Gaara before he threw more explosive spiders. The Kazekage saw the attack and leapt off the sand mound to avoid the explosion before wings made of sand formed from the gourd on his back. Gaara flew back to Deidara's level before he waved a wing towards the bomber. Desert sand, shuriken, said Gaara, and shuriken made of sand flew towards the Akatsuki member, and striking the bird on its underside. Deidara created another giant clay bird as he jumped off the previous bird and had it charged before exploding close to Gaara. The cloud had settled to reveal two large claws attached to the Kazekage's arms, and the claws had a large chunk missing from the arms due to the explosion. So, said Deidara as he smirked in confidence, you've mastered the Shikaka sand at this kind of level. Honestly, I'm not surprised given your record. Gaara soon created a floating mound of sand and landed on it as he said, her name's Sunaheim. Shikaka was that vile priest who took control of her. The sand attached to Gaara then formed a large falcon in front of Gaara as the Kazekage then said, Desert sand, falcon blade. The falcon made of sand then flew towards Deidara as the bomber then held out a small odd-looking statue. You think that a giant bird made of sand's going to stop me, said Deidara as the statue was now as large as the falcon before he threw it. I'll show you why they call me the Mad Bomber. The statue collided with the falcon and created a massive explosion, destroying the bird made of sand as the Akatsuki member dashed through the cloud and leapt off the clay bird with a fist held back. Concussion knuckle, said Deidara as his fist connected with protective sand and created an explosion from contact. Not expecting the explosion, Gaara was launched off the sand as Deidara fell towards him with another attack. Desert sand, steel armor, Gaara quickly said as his sand armor changed into a suit of armor made of sand before Deidara's fist connected to his face. Concussion knuckle, Deidara said as an explosion erupted from contact before Gaara fell onto the clay bird unconscious from the attack. Happy that the capture was a success, Deidara flew away on the bird towards the Akatsuki's base with Sasori in tow. We're being followed, Sasori bluntly said as his partner turned back to see two figures chasing them. They're with the Order of the Namaki. Deidara scowled a bit before tossing some of his explosives onto the desert floor in hopes of losing their pursuers. Sasori looked to see the figures still following them as he said, I'll handle them while you get the Ichibi to the hideout. The Mad Bomber nodded as his partner jumped off to confront the two shadows. Issei and Suijin stopped as they saw the Akatsuki land before them in hopes of stopping them. Sasori of the Red Sand, said Issei as she recognized the mechanical tail. I'm not surprised to find a scorpion in its home territory. Suijin smirked as he bounced in preparation for a fight before his partner held out her arm. I'll hold him off while you go rescue the Kazekage, said Issei as she stared down Sasori. The Kazekage must be protected by the Order of the Namaki. The young man scowled a bit before feathers appeared in his hair and part of his exposed skin, while his body became compressed with his legs becoming much longer in the form of bird talons. Devil fruit? Sasori said as Suijin quickly vanished with only large tracks in the sand showing where the man once stood. That's right, said Issei as a smirk was on her face, but he's not the only one either. With Deidara, the Akatsuki member was gliding through the sky until he noticed a presence behind him. That was pretty quick, Sasori. Those two must have been rookies, the Mad Bomber said as he turned around to see that he wasn't talking to Sasori. Sorry, but my name's Suijin, said Suijin as he pointed his short wing-shaped hand to himself. I'm the fastest man alive next to the Yellow Flash. What of the Raikid Shay? Deidara asked before receiving a chuckle from the Birdman hybrid. Don't make me laugh, Suijin said. I can dance circles around that pile of muscles as my speed is just that, pure speed. Also helps that I have the powers of the Torai no Mi model, Roadrunner. Deidara went to punch his pursuer, but Suijin quickly jumped over and behind the Mad Bomber. While this devil fruit doesn't give me the proper muscles for heavy fighting like Scaredy Cat or other members, Suijin said as he kept dodging all of Deidara's punches, I instead have the muscles for incredible reflexes and speed, making me perfect for a little hit and run. Suijin swiftly sidestepped another one of Deidara's punches before delivering a series of punches into the Mad Bomber's side. Deidara held his side as was about to recover when Suijin kicked the Akatsuki member off of the giant clay bird. Now if you don't mind, Suijin said as he picked up Gaara, I'm outta here. Deidara looked from the trees to find that his opponent running away with the Kazekage in tow. Creating another giant clay bird, Deidara climbed on it, and had it follow Suijin in hopes of recovering the Ichibi before it was too late. A couple of days had passed as Team Gai, Temari, and the new Team 7 finally arrived in Sunagakure where Kankuro was being carried by a stretcher. What happened? Temari asked as she was concerned for her brother. Kankuro said as pain was coursing through his body, it was the Akatsuki and the order. The order of the Namaki, Naruto said with a serious tone in his voice. Guess they are still in that war with the Akatsuki. I'd tell you guys more, but Kankuro here needs immediate attention if he was fighting a member from both organizations. Everyone nodded as they retreated back towards Sunagakure, none of them noticing a pair of eyes watching them from underneath the sand. Straw Hat, said the spy as their eyes vanished further under the sand, you are really becoming a thorn in our side. In the hospital, everyone was waiting as Nimue walked out of the room. We were able to remove the poison from Ken, Kuro, ZZZ, said Nimue as she began to fall asleep. I believe that Straw Hat was ZZZ. ZZZ, how is a narcoleptic a ninja? Naruto thought as he remembered about telling the others about the order of the Namaki. Now that Kankuro is getting the medical treatment needed, I'll tell you everything about the order of the Namaki, Naruto said as everyone gathered around him with Nimue laying down on the floor still asleep. The order of the Namaki is an organization that, like the Akatsuki, are after the tailed beasts, with the order already having Yuzum, the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox's chakra. So what is the difference between the two? Lee asked. If they're both after the tailed beasts, then why are they at war with each other? Because while Jiraiya and I are unsure of why the Akatsuki are after the tailed beasts at the moment, Naruto answered with a serious tone, the Order are planning on reviving the Namaki, their god tree, by using the power of all nine-tailed beasts. If the Order already has Yuzum, Niji stated as he crossed his arms, then we do not have much to worry about thanks to those seals you have applied. Those seals had only bought us some time, Naruto admitted with a cringed look on his face. Like any seal, the 7 seals placed on Yuzum can be released and undone by another seal master. But I had integrated the seals in a way that one tiny little mistake, or hiccup with the unsealing process can become catastrophic, as the amount of chakra held back by the seal would be released simultaneously into a huge explosion. And considering Yuzum possessing the chakra of the second most powerful tailed beast, the resulting explosion would probably decimate Kirigakure's island in the land of water. Would such an explosion really happen? Kakashi asked in honest shock as the idea almost sounds possible. It is possible, Naruto answered grimly. You would have to factor in how much time had passed since the sealing has been done, and the amount of chakra the person has while adding in the tailed beast chakra should that person be a Jinchuriki. An prime example of this would be a balloon or an inflatable ball to represent a Jinchuriki. Naruto continued as he unsealed a balloon and an exercise ball, both deflated, along with a helium tank. Now depending on the person's chakra, Naruto said as he began to fill the balloon up with helium until it was the size of his head before going even further, should the unsealing go wrong. Pop! You would have either a bloody mess to clean up or even a whole building to clean up afterwards, Naruto finished as he picked up the small shreds of the destroyed balloon. The straw hat wearing blonde then began to fill up the exercise ball with helium as he said, now were that person be a Jinchuriki, the 7 seals would also have to work in conjunction with whatever seal was used on the Jinchuriki. You may want to stand back for this one. Everyone backed away as Naruto kept filling the exercise ball beyond its limits until... Boom! The echoing boom caused everyone to cover their ears as the shreds of the exercise ball flew farther than the balloons. There goes Kiri, said Kakashi as he picked up a small shred of the Jinchuriki as the amount of devastation entered the Jonin's mind where the situation happened with a real Jinchuriki. The only way for the explosion to be smaller and less devastating would be if any of the 7 seals were to be removed, said Naruto as he collected the shreds of the exercise ball before throwing them into the garbage. but of course even unsealing just one can be tricky on a Jinchuriki. But we can't waste any more time, said Naruto as he started heading towards the doors of the hospital. We have a Kage to save. In the mountainous area of the land of Earth, one could find 3 individuals traveling the road towards Iwagakure. The first individual was a woman with short, messy blonde hair wearing a dusty leather jacket over a ragged forest green turtleneck shirt with its collar covering the lower half of her face along with old leather gloves and worn leather boots while a large, rugged hat sat upon her head. The woman was also carrying a large farming scythe with a rusted, but deadly sharp blade upon her back. The noticeable feature of the woman was not just her ragged looks, but the many pieces of straw that were poking out from under her clothes and her hair. The second individual was a large man with a shaved head wearing samurai armor on the lower half of his body over gray pants as his upper body was covered in numerous scars. Like the woman, the lower half of the man's face was covered by a metal mask that had a serrated edge above his mouth. Attached to his hip was a katana that was decorated in purple amethyst gems with a lapis lazuli gem in the middle of the hilt. The third individual was a small and meek man with slicked-back auburn hair wearing a white buttoned shirt under dark green overalls and black fingerless gloves. A pair of circular glasses rested upon his nose as a pointed tooth could be seen from the left side of the man's mouth while the pupils of the man's eyes were slightly slitted. A lion's tail was also wrapped around his waist in the fashion of a belt with the fluff hanging from the man's side. "Why are here again?" asked the woman as she and the large man were following the smaller man. "We were sent here to find Han, J. Junchuriki of the Jigobi," the meek man nervously said. "We are to convince him to join our order, no-chan." "Oh yeah, that's right," the woman said with realization in her voice. "Who was Han again?" The larger man sighed as he said, "Han is an Iwagakure shinobi, and is also the Junchuriki of the Gobi, the 5-tailed dolphin horse. I'm not going to bother telling you how he looks since you'll forget it for the umpteenth time, and we'll know him when we see him. He supposedly wears a kind of steam-powered armor that not only boosts his power, but protects him too." The woman looked at the large man with a glare and said, "Hey. I may be forgetful, but you didn't have to be a heartless jerk, Suzuha." "There he is," said the smaller man as he pointed to a large figure wearing red armor as 2 Iwagakure shinobi were with him. "He's quite larger than, gulp, than I had thought." "You there," said the man in red armor as he pointed to the trio, "what business do you have with IWA? Gah!" The small man cried out in fear as he hid behind the scar-covered man before said man picked him up by the back of his shirt and dropped him in front of the man in red armor. "We are from the order of the Enenimaki and we were sent to find a Mr. Han. I'm Yuki." "I'm Suzuha the Heartless," said the large man said as he pointed to himself. "I once was a samurai for the land of iron, but I was banished and sent into exile for needlessly slaughtering a small village." The scarecrow-looking woman approached the man in red armor and said, "I really can't remember my name, but I'm alright with No-chan." No-chan stared at the man for a little bit before looking back at Yuki and asked, "What were we supposed to do again?" "If you're here for Han," said one of the IWA ninja as he pointed to the man in red armor, "then you can take him. We really don't care about who takes him or Rashi as long as these freaks are out of our hair." The IWA ninja then noticed the katana in Suzuha's possession and asked, "That's Akumu Satsugai, the famous Uchiha slayer? What's a sword like that doing out of the land of iron?" Suzuha gave the IWA shinobi an evil smirk and said, "Why don't you try and take it from me and just exactly see why they call me Heartless?" In the Land of Wind, Team 7 and Team Guy had just left Sunagakure when sand suddenly blasted upwards to reveal a woman with long blue hair and a giant braid wearing a black vest open to reveal white wraps around her chest, skinny black pants, and black high heels standing before them. "Don't think you'll be stopping the order from saving the Kazekage from the Akatsuki, Straw Hat," said the woman as she looked at Naruto. "Who are you?" Naruto asked as he got into a fighting stance to their bolt ahead to save Gaara, or fight this woman. "I'm Ise the Scorpion Empress," said the woman with a slight chuckle, "and I'm here to stop you from preventing the protection of the Kazekage." "You call kidnapping protecting?" Tenten asked with a sharp glare in her eyes. "Hey, the Akatsuki kidnapped him first," said Ise with a slight smile. "We're just kidnapping him back from the Akatsuki, and don't think that you can get through me easily. Ise chuckled as her skin had become a shiny midnight black while her hands transformed into large, stone-crushing pincers. Her lower jaw then changed into mandibles with sharp teeth as a long scorpion's tail appeared from her behind. Ise's transformation was completed with 2 extra pairs of arms, as he looked like a large black scorpion with blue hair. Behold the power of the Mushi Mushi no Mi, model scorpion, Ise said with a scraggly voice as she focused her sights on the group with her stinger swaying in the air. Now who shall I stab first? I shall be your opponent, Lee declared with his usual courage as he approached the scorpion lady. You surely? Naruto asked as he observed the large scorpion. From the looks of her, she could be either an emperor scorpion or a king scorpion. Just one sting from either of those two can be pretty serious, deadly even. Lee gave his friends a thumbs up while keeping his eyes on Ise. Do not worry, the taijutsu expert said with a gleam in his eyes. I shall fight with enough youth and spirit to make both Gai-sensei and Zoro-sama proud. That's the spirit, Lee. Guy cheered. Show this woman what one's flames of youth can really do. Ise smirked as the other Konoha shinobi ran past her, leaving just her and Lee. I shall let you have the first move since you are the challenger, said Lee as he got into a battle stance, causing Ise to chuckle. Per move, boy, the scorpion lady said as she launched her stinger towards the Chunin, but missed as Lee quickly dodged to the right. Lee then went in to rush Ise, but he was forced to jump back to avoid a massive claw swipe before barely getting stabbed by the stinger, only for a small cut to form on his cheek. Hee, I've already won, said Ise as she brought the stinger to her face and licked the blood from it. My poison will begin to course through your body and slowly kill you from the inside out. You might as well kill yourself just to save yourself from an agonizing and painful death. You shouldn't underestimate your opponent because they have been poisoned. Lee countered with a fierce look on his face. My flames of youth shall help me to victory even before your poison could kill me. Such talk for a small boy, Ise said before she shrugged her shoulders. Oh well, I'll enjoy watching you kill yourself just to defeat me. Please do make this entertaining than that last one. Lee said nothing as he gave the woman another look before rushing towards her with a fire in his heart. With the Konohagakure team, the group rushed into a forest as one of Kakashi's summons led the group towards Gaara. We're not too far from the Kazekage, said Pakin as the pug jumped through the trees. I'd be surprised if we didn't bump into the kidnappers within a few yards. I wouldn't be surprised, Naruto said as everyone took a glance toward him. The Akatsuki wouldn't want to give the order a chance to somehow not only rescue the Kazekage, or in this case the Ichibi, but obtain any other tailed beasts that they have captured. It's practically a game of tug-of-war where if either side gets a tailed beast, then that side is just that much closer to achieving their goals. We cannot risk that. I would agree with that, said a growling voice as everyone stopped to see a hunched-over figure with a mechanical tail wearing a black cloak with red clouds. I take it you're one of the Akatsuki, am I correct? Kakashi asked as he was ready to fight. Yes, the figure said as he looked at the group. I am the master puppeteer, Sasori, and I take it you're not with the Order of the Namaki. Where's Gaara? Naruto said as he couldn't sense the Kazekage anywhere. My partner is attempting to lose that annoying roadrunner before reaching with the others to extract the Ichibi. Sasori answered, we are already behind schedule because of those tree-hugging fools. Straw Hat-san, Niji said as he kept his focus on the Akatsuki member. Please allow Tenten and I to handle Sasori while the rest of you go retrieve the Kazekage. Naruto gave Niji a quick nod before an arm bloomed from near Sasori's head and slapped its hand on the ninja's face over the eyes, allowing Naruto and the others to escape as Niji and Tenten stayed behind. Damn it! Sasori said as he wrenched the hand off and was about to give chase. But a sickle zipped by him to redirect his attention to Niji and Tenten. Sorry, said Tenten as it was revealed that her hand was the sickle as the bladed weapon returned to her before reforming her hand. But we're not going to let you go that easily. Big mistake as my puppetry is unmatched by all, Sasori said as he removed his cloak to reveal the tail was coming from a mechanical device on his back. You both shall make fine additions to my collection. Niji quickly shot out a stream of air from his palm before he and Tenten jumped away from the branch as it was obliterated by Sasori's tail. Tenten jumped onto her hands as her legs and feet were turned into chains with a sickle on one chain and a spiked flail on the other. Kusarigama madness, Tenten said as she twisted her body around in a wild motion as both the sickle and flail had hit Sasori multiple times. So you've eaten a devil fruit, Sasori said after he jumped away from the attack. I've honestly wanted a puppet that had the powers of a devil fruit. Unfortunately, I have never found a devil fruit, nor had one lived long enough for me to study its power. Hopefully I can get lucky. It's never wise to gamble with devil fruit, Niji said as Sasori's tail was coming straight towards him before jumping to the side, because sometimes the power just isn't worth the price. You talk as if you know of someone with such a power, Sasori said as his tail returned to his side. Yeah, said Tenten as her feet returned to normal before she jumped to then with each of her fingers turning into sharp knives. He's the village clown because we were able to stop him from doing any damage with his powers. But enough talk as we need to help Naruto. Too bad you won't get the chance, Sasori said as he rushed towards the two Konoha ninja. Because you both shall die right here. With the rest of the Konoha group, Pakin's nose twitched before the small dog changed his course. I hope your squad can handle those two, Gai-sensei, Naruto said with a serious tone. The members of both the Akatsuki and the Order are no pushovers. While I don't know exactly just who is in the Namaki as the cult is highly secretive, but Pervy Sage had told me a good bit about a few Akatsuki as they are a group of high-class missing nin. Have faith in them, Straw Hat-san, Guy said with his usual nice guy smile. My students have vigorously trained themselves in ways not even you could imagine. What you saw was only but a small taste of the real power that my youthful students have. Better hope it's enough to stop not only Issei, but that Sasori fellow, said a voice as the team stopped once more to find a young man with bird-like features. I take it you're also a member of the Order, Naruto said as he stared down the bird-like teen. Hee. You got that right, Straw Hat. Name Suijin, fastest man alive thanks to the power of the Torai no Mi, model Roadrunner. The teen introduced himself with a smirk. I stopped chasing after that crap artist when I felt her presence nearby. Who are you talking about? Guy asked as he and the others were on guard for a possible ambush. Straw Hat should know her, considering that our seal master has been working on removing the seals that were placed on her, the Roadrunner man said, getting a shocked look from Naruto. Use him, Naruto thought as he remembered how easy it was for the Namaki to get his twin sister. So she is with them and they're working on removing the seals I placed on her. How many seals have they removed? Naruto asked as he kept an eye out for his sister. Dunno, as last I heard that they were only able to remove 3 of those seals. Suijin said with a chuckle, we have to evacuate the base every time they decide to remove just one of your seals as they were placed in delicate areas that if Yuzum was ticklish then… Boom. Naruto was about to rush past the teen when Sai and Nimue appeared in between the two. Let us handle him, Sai said as Nimue was still sleeping. Our mission is to rescue the Kazekage before either the Akatsuki or the Namaki are able to obtain the Ichibi. Right, said Naruto as he, Kakashi, Guy, and Pakin left before Sai to a battle stance next to Nimue. This is just too easy, hee. Suijin said as he quickly rushed towards the two Konoha ninja, only for Sai to jump away while Nimue just fell back as the Roadrunner man made the bubble from the girl's nose pop. The girl woke up a bit, and used her hand to jump back and onto her feet. What's going on? Nimue asked as sleep was still evident on her eyes. Are we fighting someone? We are, bedwetter, Sai said as he pointed to Suijin as he wiped his face as some of the liquid from the bubble got in his eye. You might as well, Suijin said before he let out a tiring yawn. Ugh, anyway. She might as well stay asleep as what could she ever do to me in her sleep? You have, no, yawn IDAZZZZ. Nimue said before she fell on the ground asleep. Well, said Suijin with a smirk, that was. A kick had surprised the teen as he saw that Nimue was wide awake while Sai had somehow vanished. What the hell? Suijin asked as he saw the silver-gray eyes shining with confidence. I saw you fall asleep. Where's that really pale kid? Oh, he's around, said Nimue as her voice was louder than the soft tone she had before. But you should be more worried about me. Before the Order member could ask, he had to dodge a fireball that Nimue shot at him before dodging a blast of wind before another fireball. What the hell is going on? Suijin thought to himself as he was dodging jutsu after jutsu. That girl just falls asleep and she's suddenly attacking me. I don't get it unless. After jumping over Nimue, Suijin saw that the indent on the grass was still there before running deeper into the woods without noticing the smirk on the girl's face. They always fall for that, Nimue said as she followed the Roadrunner man at the same speed. With Naruto and the two Jonin, they were able to catch up when they saw a weird-looking bird in the sky. That must be Sasori's partner, Kakashi said as the group was still far behind. We have to catch up to them. Think you can go use your gum style, Naruto? I have something better, Naruto said as he created a few blossom clones and unsealed a different instrument for each of them. Was the original had a sleek-looking guitar, song style, through the fire and flames. One of the Narutos began with a fast tune on his guitar before the other Narutos joined with an even faster tune playing. Kakashi and Guy felt themselves become faster as they listened to the song being played before them. This song, Kakashi noted as the trees seemed to blur right past him in a haze of green. I can feel the energy from it. Yosh. Guy cheered as his eyes were lit up with fiery passion and determination. Naruto-san's youthful song is giving us so much power that we shall catch up to the enemy in no time. Deidara flew through the sky in hopes of finding that brat that took the Kazekage from them until he heard the sound of music from behind him. What now? Deidara asked with an annoyed voice until he saw the Konoha group following him. What the? How the hell did they catch up so easily? Using his scope, the Akatsuki member saw the duplicates of Naruto playing different instruments at a fast pace. That brat must have been to the traveling village, Deidara said as he quickly swore under his breath. He must have learned some of their special musical genjutsu. With the Konoha group, Paku's nose twitched as the pug then said, I smell the Kazekage and one other person. It's Uzum's. Naruto, Kakashi said. The original stopped playing his violin while the other clones continued playing the song. Go after Gaara and Uzum. We can handle this guy. Naruto nodded as he knew that he couldn't let the Order of the Namaki get a hold of Gaara and also try and stop Uzum before taking her back. All right, Naruto said as his clones vanished along with all of the instruments. I'll go save Gaara and stop Uzum. Guy watched as Naruto changed into the tall human-fox hybrid from the Chunin exams before the fox ninja vanished into a deeper part of the forest. I wonder how much Uzum had changed, Guy said as he kept his focus on Deidara. I just hope Naruto's ready for whatever Uzum might do. Same here, Guy, considering her devil fruit. Kakashi said with slight concern for his student. I hope Naruto can save Gaara. Deeper into the woods, Uzum ran past the trees with a smirk on her face as she had used her powers to absorb the Ichibi into the seal that holds the Kyuubi's chakra. She felt even more powerful than she ever did before as her devil fruit allowed her to simply absorb any form of power without a backlash thanks to the Kyuubi's chakra modifying it. Kya haya haya yaya. Uzum laughed as she was getting closer to destroying her brother. Once the other seals that no good brother of mine placed on me are removed, I will have enough power to become the goddess I deserve to be. Kya haya haya yaya. An oval suddenly appeared on a tree before opening up to reveal two cloaked figure. Have the Ichibi, no? The figure asked as Uzum nodded while manipulating some sand from the gourd she stole from Gaara. Good. Take you back to the base, yes? Brought reinforcement because of brother. Should slow him down, yes. The other cloaked figure jumped out before Uzum then jumped in. You know what to do, yes? The cloaked figure asked as the smirk was seen from the other figure. He won't know what hit him, wahahaha. The figure said with a gusty laugh. I'll knock the wind out of him. Wahahaha. Failure, no. The cloaked figure sternly said before pulling the oval shut. The lone figure turned around as it said, I'll show Straw Hat that the sky's the limit with me. With Lee, the taijutsu expert was breathing heavily as he dodged Issei's attacks while dealing with the poison in his body. Just give up as my poison could kill armies. Issei said as she was in a scorpion-human hybrid form. Even if you do defeat me, you'll die before any form of an antidote could even be thought up. I won't give up. Lee defiantly said as his body was slightly shaking from the poison. My flames bright ever so brightly, and so shall my spirit. Lee quickly removed his leg weights and sped straight towards his opponent, and gave her a mighty kick. Issei used her massive claws to shield herself, but the outer shell had cracked from the sheer force of the kick as the taijutsu expert quickly went into a barrage of attacks. His speed and power are amazing. He was able to crack the outer shell. Ise thought as she burrowed into the sand when she saw an opening when Lee stopped his attack due to the poison. I severely underestimated this ugly and stubborn bastard. Damn, Lee thought as he regained control of his body. I need to finish this quickly or I'll die because of the poison. Scorpion bolt! Ise cried out from underneath the sand as her stinger shot out from Lee's right, but it missed as the young teen rolled forward. Lee looked around before seeing sand building up from behind him and jumped as Ise's stinger shot out. Although he was able to dodge the attack, Lee felt his ankle get cut from the attack and a burning sensation from the new injury. The taijutsu expert fell to the ground and held his injured ankle while hearing his opponent chuckle. A double dosage of my poison? Ise taunted as Lee quickly got into a kneeling position. This battle is as good as mine. Scorpion crush hold. Lee couldn't move in time as two large claws appeared and caught him in a tight hold while Ise appeared in front of him and tightened her grip. I had thought that I made a mistake in underestimating you, the woman said with a devilish smirk of absolute victory on her face. But you never stood a chance after the first injection. Lee looked and saw Ise's stinger reeling back as the tip was pointed right at his face. He knew it was now or never as he had to find a way to escape his opponent's grasp. Goodbye, Ise said as her eyes had a deadly flash as her stinger lunged towards Lee, point-blank scorpion bolt. Clang! What the? Ise said in shock as her stinger bounced off Lee's now blackened forehead, causing the tip of the stinger to be broken off. Lee quickly used his uninjured leg to kick the scorpion woman in the chin, making Ise release her grip on him. My stinger! Ise cried out as she saw the condition of her stinger before focusing her attention on the taijutsu expert was meters from her. I'll make you pay for that, you little shit. I hope you are ready to pay as well, Lee countered as his fingers and toes became a shiny midnight black. Because I am not going to hold back anymore. The end. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comment section how was the story. And also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Peace out.